this party started.
He's shining a light in the dark corners of our media.
You are fake news.
Our government.
Handling of classified documents.
And our culture.
Don't trust anyone.
It's common sense amidst chaos.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Here's your host, Ike Wingate.
Hello and welcome to the show. It is Monday, August 25th, 2025. I'm already ready for fall. My wife's been decorating with fall smells and decor, and apparently my brain is there as well. I didn't expect that. Hey, I'm glad you're here. I hope you had a fantastic weekend as we get ready to go here today with a laundry list of news. Right now, as we speak, President Trump in the Oval Office speaking with media in front of the media with South Korean president, with the South Korean president. Don't ask me to pronounce his name. The guy doesn't even speak English, so they're going back and forth with a translator. And of course, another world leader that is incredibly complimentary of President Trump, saying, just looking around the Oval Office, how the decor has changed. Have you seen the before and after of the Oval since President Trump has been back? It's basically like going from, the new Cracker Barrel back to the old Cracker Barrel, basically, where the walls are decorated with gold. I don't know what those are called. Emblems, sconces, whatever. I don't know what it is. Gold chairs. I mean, the whole room is brightened up compared to the very drab look that was previously. And the South Korean president himself said, I love the way that the Oval Office looks. It is indicative of the prosperity that is becoming the United States of America. So basically saying it coincides, it matches what you're trying to build here in the United States of America. So a lot of discussions going on there in the Oval Office. And, of course, they're talking about Kim Jong-un a little bit. He actually said, I look forward to you working out a deal with Kim Jong-un to basically de-escalate his development or testing of nuclear weapons and eventually build a golf course and play golf there in North Korea, which was pretty funny. The translation's pretty funny when you hear President Trump talking, yes, we had, me and Kim Jong-un, we got a little nasty there for a little bit. I called him Rocket Man, little Rocket Man. And then the translator, back to the South Korean president, is like, Ting Dong Hong, Rocket Man. And then there's chuckles throughout the Oval. Anyway, glad you're with us today. So that is going on right now. We're not taking it live. Doesn't seem like it's something we need to worry about. Now, I will say this. I did see a camera zoom in on President Trump's hand, and it is quite bruised on the backside of his hand. Now, he has been seen with makeup on his back of his hand, so he didn't, bring attention to it. He doesn't have any makeup on it. His hands were sort of between his legs, and the camera zoomed in, and you could see that. Not sure if that is a symptom of this, vein issue that he has or what's going on there, but just something to pay attention to. All right, so we're going to get into some new executive orders that have been signed today regarding flags and cashless bail. The Maryland man is having a bad Monday. You think you're having a bad Monday? You're not Maryland man. Abrego Garcia, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We will give you an update on what's going on there, plus the cartel corruption outed by a Mexican politician on Fox News. We're going to play that clip. John Bolton had a bad week last week. We did a show earlier last week. The latter part we did not, but a lot going on there with John Bolton. Why was his home raided? Why was his home raided? We need to find that out. We're going to talk about that, actually. The state of the Democrats heading into midterms, do they have a chance? Or are they positioned to do what most parties do when the opposite party is in power in the executive branch and overtake the administration? And then an update on the autopen and some clips from Scrawny Mamdani, the guy running for mayor of New York City, doesn't look so strong. And so we're going to show you those clips. All right, I need your help in the comments. Let me know that you are watching today. We would love to hear from you in the comments, whether you're watching on our Rumble channel or on X. We're also streaming to you on the Died Suddenly X feed as well. Interact in the live chat, not comments, but live chat on X, and that way we can read your comments live on the air. And whatever platform you're watching on, whether it's Rumble or X or YouTube or Facebook, give us a thumbs up. If you're watching on X, of course, that would be a heart. So heart this post and repost on whatever platform you're watching on. So whether it's a thumbs up or a heart, do that and then repost us as well. Do that as soon as possible so we can get the word out in the algorithm. That helps us in the algorithm. I'm going to actually do that right now while I'm watching I'm going to open this up on X and do the same thing. So please help us in that endeavor to get a little boost going in the algorithm. Okay, so executive orders being signed earlier today in the Oval, and that would be first up regarding the American flag. If you burn an American flag, you're going to get a year in jail. Take a look.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, you get, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement is
incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately.
You will see it stopping immediately. Now, you recognize President Trump talking about the incitement to violence, and that would be, I think, the constitutional side of this, because it is technically free speech to burn a flag, which sounds crazy, I know, but that precedent has been set. So I think it depends, based on what some law scholars are saying, depends on the scenario in which the flag is burned, and that's why they're talking about this incitement. If you are trying to incite violence by burning a flag, you're going to get a year in jail. Now, if you were doing it peacefully and if you were doing it lawfully, apparently you can burn a U.S. flag. That's what some are saying here. Civil rights claim under 42 U.S.C. 1983. Wrongful arrest settlements range from 25 to 100K. So some saying you would have a case if you did it lawfully and safely. So I think the distinction here is President Trump is cracking down on people burning flags to incite violence. And, I don't think you should be burning flags. So you could, remember, free speech is that thing that protects, the speech that you don't like. And apparently, to some, burning the American flag falls under that. Obviously, it's a very contested perspective, but it is what it is. Obviously, this is different. There is a specification regarding inciting violence. So we'll see how that plays out. Either way, whether this thing gets challenged or not, the intent of what President Trump here is trying to do, I think, is a good thing, because, people that are here that hate our country, that are basically trying to bring this country down. I mean, they're enemies of our country. I mean, step back for a minute and think. There are people that hate this country, and they're allowed to be here because we are a free society, but they are doing things to undermine the freedom that we have and try to basically act as terrorists on our own soil, whether it's, ideological terrorism or actual, physical terrorism. And so this idea that you cannot burn an American flag without consequences, I think, is well done. And we know that a deterrent goes a long way. Look at what's happening in Washington, D.C., 9 days straight now with no murders after the National Guard has been called in. It's amazing what these liberal outlets do to diminish all of this. Literally, President Trump has broken the Democrat Party and the liberal media because they have to take incredibly ridiculous stances in order to maintain this idea that President Trump is so bad and evil. So President Trump has them advocating and promoting, violence, diminishing law and order. But law and order is back in Washington, D.C., and President Trump is threatening the same type of actions in other liberal cities where crime runs amok, where murders are out of control. By the way, if you're about Black Lives Matter, if you're about protecting Black lives, you have a much higher chance of being murdered in D.C. than a white person. And when there are no murders for 9 days, it's saving Black lives. And so if you really do care about Black lives, then you would be celebrating this. But the liberal media, of course, is not. And of course, as I said, President Trump is threatening the same type of action in other cities. Now, you have the D.C. home rule established in the Constitution that would give President Trump the authority over D.C., Congress authority over D.C. as well, if it's going to go past that 30 days. But the question has been asked, well, can President Trump even do this in other cities? And a lot of law scholars say, no, you don't have that, because, you think about President Trump's doing it for the right reason. But what if someone who is trying to, institute martial law across the country was in power? That would get scary. Well, we had Seth Woodall on here, an attorney, last week or week before, I guess, week before last. And he said President Trump could declare an emergency and he could send in National Guard troops to these cities where crime and murder and violence is rampant. So that is something President Trump floated over the weekend. Well, I can just declare an emergency. So you see kind of this feud going on in these blue cities between the mayors and President Trump on this matter. Now, something, and so back to the original point, and that is the deterrents are very effective. When people know, fool around and find out, and it's going to be bad, then they're a lot less likely to act up. It's that deterrent. It's the look that your dad gives you when you know he means business, and that's enough for you to cut it out. It's a deterrent. Sometimes you have to bring the hammer down to reinforce future deterrents if people want to test you. But case and point in Washington, D.C., it's absolutely working. Now, another aspect of this is cashless bail, where you have these criminals that don't have to post any bail because they're low income. Well, President Trump has signed an executive order and says no more cashless bail. No more cashless bail. He signed that order earlier this morning. And again, this is another deterrent mechanism for violent crime. Take a look.
Everybody before me is happy what I'm doing. Most of you won't say that because you're radical left. The newspapers are so dishonest. The press is totally dishonest, but that's all right. We've gotten used to it. And we won in a landslide, so they obviously lost their power. I mean, it's impossible to imagine that when you get 97% negative stories, purposely negative stories, even though you've done 97% positive things, that you could win an election in a landslide, winning all seven. Think of it, all seven swing states, winning by the popular vote by millions of votes. We had a fantastic, the best is your districts out of 3,000 districts. I guess we won 3,500. We won 2,750, and they won 500. And that's, to me, the best of all. And we had tremendous in every way, the election. And it's hard to believe you can do that when you have a corrupt media. But many of you are corrupt, and it's nothing we can do about it. But we keep winning, and we're going to keep winning. And this whole story on crime is incredible that the Democrats wouldn't be with us.
Yeah, well, they have to take the position of orange man bad no matter what, right?
Everybody before me is happy what I'm doing. Most of you won't say that because you're radical left. The newspapers are so dishonest. The press is totally dishonest, but that's all right. We've gotten used to it. And we won in a landslide, so they obviously lost it.
Okay, so I don't know if did we ever actually hear him say anything about the cashless bail? Anyway, he has signed that executive order to end cashless bail. and in DC. So again, another deterrent mechanism, which of course is used where, it's like, oh, they're low income, they can't post bail, and they're right back on the street. So it's absolutely ridiculous. You have to make it difficult for criminals to commit crimes. And what the liberals have done for so long is make it easy to commit crimes, and with very low prosecution rates in some of these liberal places, and then you make it easy for them to get right back on the street. So there's no real deterrent whatsoever to behave. There's no ramifications. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever. And so now that is changing in DC. President Trump says DC might be the safest place in the world right now because of what's going on there. So I don't want to see National Guard troops on my streets, but I would much rather see that than be worried about going out for a walk. And I think, it's like desperate times call for desperate measures a little bit on this deal, where it's like, yeah, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants them out there, but they're grateful they're there when you see the result of their presence on the streets in DC. So you can't complain about it when the people in power in DC have done nothing to eliminate this violent crime. It's ridiculous in the capital of our country that you're more likely to get murdered than in Baghdad, Iraq. That's insane. And it's even more insane that people have just accepted it as a norm. There's nothing we can do. This is what's crazy about Democrats in these liberal cities, where it's like they want their city to be in chaos. Why do they want that? Is that so they can control their people more? It sure seems that way. They also don't want Trump coming in and solving it super quick, easy either, and making it look easy, because that just makes them look bad. But it's really a desperate state that we've arrived, where Democrats are defending these criminals and looking for any which way that they can, defend them in some way or another and diminish President Trump's initiative to crack down on crime. It is insane. It is crazy. That's why I say President Trump has broken the Democrat Party, because he has called them on their crap and made them have, they've chosen to defend these ridiculous positions. It makes them look terrible, and it certainly doesn't build credibility and trust for the future, which is why the Democrat Party is polling lower than ever before. Now we turn now to deportations, and on the heels of this horrible story where this illegal immigrant who is given a commercial driver's license out of California and some other places killed a family by pulling a U-turn. The guy couldn't recognize road signs because he doesn't speak English. You now have the focus turning on cracking down on this, and truckers have been talking about this for a long time with not any attention hardly on it, where these foreign truckers are here illegally in some cases. But even if they're, maybe they're here legally or here on a temporary status, they can't read, they can't speak English, and they literally trash these rest stops and other places where truck drivers are trying to rest. And I mean, it's just like you import the third world, you become the third world. They're just throwing crap everywhere. Now, today, Florida's Attorney General has announced that they will be converting truck weigh stations. Well, they're basically a dual purpose. Truck weigh stations will now also be immigration checkpoints. And this makes a lot of sense from a government efficiency standpoint. You already have the infrastructure there. You already have law enforcement there. You already have the requirement for these weigh stations for truckers. And The trucking industry has been abused by these illegal immigrants. I don't know why these trucking companies are getting away with hiring these people, but apparently they are, and that's not going to be going on for too much longer. But anyway, this was announced this morning on Fox and Friends.
But today, Florida's Attorney General is going to announce that all the trucking weigh stations in the state of Florida will now serve as immigration checkpoints.
Great idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a great idea. And by the way, I also think we should find out who gave him his road test,
Yep.
Who green-lighted it, what company insured him, what company hired him, and all those companies pay the price. That's the only thing you got to do. You got to destroy the companies that are putting our lives at risk.
All right, so Kilmeade saying it's a great idea. I think it is a great idea. We got to do that all over the country, actually, in my opinion. All right, so on this same subject, you remember Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia. His attorney revealed today after his hearing. See, he had the choice. He could go to Costa Rica and live free and plead guilty, or he could stay here, challenge this thing, and be deported. And so it looks like he's going to be deported to Uganda. They had this guy out there speaking before he went in for his hearing, and he doesn't even speak English. And he's been here for 10 years. Remember, this guy beat his wife. He was caught allegedly human smuggling as well. And he was also caught with known gang members. He was driving a gang member's vehicle when he was stopped in Tennessee with a carload of people that didn't speak English. And a confidential informant identified him as a gang member. Okay, so this is who we're dealing with. This is who Democrats are defending. And his attorney announcing the guy is about to be deported.
My name is Simon Sandoval Motionberg. I'm a partner at the immigration law firm of Murray Osorio PLLC in Maryland, Virginia, and New Jersey, and one of the many attorneys in the legal team that's been representing Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Mr. Abrego Garcia was taken into custody by ICE this morning.
This guy looks like he's about to cry.
My name is...
Yeah, so they're booing and yelling shame because a guy who is here illegally, who had a deportation order, who was smuggling humans, known gang associate, woman beater, wife beater, and they are yelling shame for our country upholding the law to get a person like this out. This is what I'm talking about with Democrats have gone full nut job defending animals like this. And we talk about Mexico and all that comes over from Mexico, the fentanyl and everything else. And we've heard allegations before, and it's not really, I mean, this isn't some big mystery that the cartels and the Mexican government are in cahoots. And now a senator has gone on Fox News, a senator from Mexico, exposing all of this, saying the president of Mexico works for the cartels, funded by money from the cartels, and a bunch of politicians in the Mexican government that are labeled narco politicians, also stating that Mexico's a narco state. And of course, she went on Fox News. We're going to play a little bit of that for you. Keep your comments coming in the live chat, please.
Mexican Senator Lily Tellez, a traitor, for coming on Fox Noticias with me a few days ago and saying this. Listen.
The help from the United States to fight the cartels in Mexico is absolutely welcome, and that is how the majority of Mexicans feel. The only ones who don't like that President Trump is sending help and trying to support Mexicans against the cartels are the narco politicians. That includes President Sheinbaum.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responding, saying, quote, "It's not a minor issue that a senator gave an interview to a foreign media outlet calling for intervention." Here to discuss is that Mexican Senator Lily Tellez. Senator Tellez, welcome to Fox Noticias. I'm just going to get right to it. Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is. And we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested our nation.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
Yes, the party has financed, has given, the cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So they protect, the Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels.
Okay, so you hear it straight from a senator from Mexico, and that these politicians are the Mexicans and the politicians who are not paid off by the cartels want Trump to help with the cartels. And of course, the Mexican president does not want this information getting out. So those are the allegations there. Is that a big surprise to anybody? I don't think so. What's up to Janisa in Jackson, California, watching on X? Thank you for being here. Bree is in the chat as well. Welcome in. And thank you to Blair for reposting this feed on X. Please repost, and we will call you out in the live chat. Of course, participate in the live chat. We'd love to see your comments throughout the show today. If you want to support this content, you can do so via Cash App or Venmo at IkeReport.com. Cash App or Venmo at IkeReport.com if you'd like to support what we are bringing to you today. John Bolton did not have a very good weekend. Of course, last week he was raided, right? He was raided. And let's see if I can bring this up here. Yes, from Newsmax. The FBI raid of former National Security Advisor John Bolton's home and office was reportedly due to a federal investigation for allegedly sending highly sensitive classified documents to his wife and daughter back in the Trump 1.0 administration. Highly sensitive classified documents to his wife and daughter via a private email server. What is with these deep state operatives and their private email servers? Okay, you send it from a private email server, so they can they won't be detected. The FOIA requests won't be able to pick up on it, and so that is the allegation here. Apparently, there is speculation that the statute of limitations on this particular issue would be close to up soon, so they made sure to go ahead and do this raid to seize the information that they could. John Bolton, a guy who worked in the first Trump administration, a guy who is known as a warmonger. Trump said when they knew this guy was in the mix, they knew he was just ready to drop bombs. Trump used it to his advantage, of course. But this guy, is such a deep state neocon operative that President Trump fired him. And of course, this guy has bragged about, staging coups in the past. He accidentally let that slip with Jake Tapper some time ago. Here's a reminder for you.
I don't know that I agree with you. To be fair, with all due respect, one doesn't have to be brilliant to attempt a coup.
I disagree with that. As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work, and that's not what he did. It was just stumbling around from one idea to another. Ultimately, he did unleash the rioters at the Capitol. As to that, there's no doubt.
As you see him make that allegation, that has no bearing in reality when you know that there were agent provocateurs on the ground. They requested National Guard. President Trump did. It's in writing. The actual assistant secretary of the Army said, no, we didn't want to do that because we thought Donald Trump was going to use the National Guard to his agenda. And of course, you got John Bolton out there peddling this continued lie and bragging. Of course, let's not bury the lead. Bragging about a coup d'etat, and I've staged coups every not here but other places. Look at me. It takes a really smart person to stage a coup, and so this guy is not someone who he was a bad hire. Okay, just plain and simple bad hire. And President Trump has said that. He was listening to the wrong people. He didn't know what he didn't know. This is why Trump 2.0 is so much more lean, clean, efficient, and effective. Andrew McCabe, of course, a guy who was caught lying under oath previously, who did all kinds of things to protect Hillary Clinton. His wife worked for her, by the way. Well, they donated to her. His wife's was a Democrat politician as well. And, he went on CNN after the Trump raid and said some things. And Mays on X has brilliantly put these two clips, or someone has, together of McCabe talking about Trump being raided and then talking about Bolton being raided on CNN both times. Listen to the difference.
Can't overemphasize to you, John, how big of a deal this would have been within the Department of Justice and the FBI. This is not, a couple of agents showing up at some judge's door in the middle of the night to get an emergency warrant.
By the way, this is him talking about the Trump raid.
This is something that would have been planned out and reevaluated and legally examined from every possible angle by the entirety of the leadership structure of both organizations. So let's remember that to get a search warrant in any case, whether it's you or I or the former president, you have to go before a federal judge and convince that judge that there is probable cause to believe both that a federal crime has been committed and that evidence of that crime is contained within the space you have described in your warrant request. So we have, in this situation, a federal judge who made that determination, giving the agents authority to enter that premises and search every part of the premises that might contain the items that are specifically described in the warrant. I've absolutely.
All right, so now we pivot to, of course, after he just said all these things, oh, no, a judge has to, you don't get to this point unless there's something there. And listen to how he talks about it with the Bolton raid.
No doubt that Mr. Bolton will have very good counsel, and they will attack this in a full-throated and complete way, as they should, right? So we know that Mr. Bolton has said critical things about the president. That's not illegal. That's not a crime. That's pretty squarely within your First Amendment right in this country. And in fact, you shouldn't be. You're not supposed to be. The Department of Justice and the FBI have all kinds of policies absolutely prohibiting investigating people for the exercise of their First Amendment rights. And so if that's what's going on here, and there's all kinds of reasons to believe that that might be the true motivation. We know that the president is embarked on a pretty extensive effort to go after his perceived enemies, to,
he said he was running on retribution. Yeah.
That's right. I am your retribution. That's what he told his supporters. So there's all kinds of reasons, I think, to look at this with a jaundiced eye and to be aware of the fact that there is more than just the probable cause articulated in this search warrant. There is this very fraught relationship between the two, and the president's history of going after people using the levers of power that he has access to, particularly the Department of Justice, to go after people he doesn't like.
Wait a minute. I thought you had to have substantial probable cause to be able to get a judge to sign off on this. Oh, you're just acting like Trump's mad and he pulled a lever and they're out there doing it. Many people with knowledge of this are saying all of these people that are trying to blame it on Trump. Oh, Trump's just doing this. It's sour grapes. They're going to be sadly mistaken, and they're going to look really, really stupid soon once they know exactly what was involved and why this search warrant was executed. Well, as I just read to you, Newsmax saying it has something to do with him sending classified documents to his wife and daughter off of a private email server. Basically, he was stealing classified documents. Now, the difference here is you go, well, President Trump took classified documents. He was the president. He can do that. And there's a lot of speculation that it had a lot to do with the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. He was preserving those records because of what had been done to him. And now we're seeing it all coming out, declassifying things like that from Tulsi Gabbard, that there was, and it matches the Durham report, by the way. And you know, people point to the Mueller report. That give me a break. The Mueller report, that was ridiculous. By the way, did you know Robert Mueller's in like a memory home? Like he has memory problems. Like he's. I mean, just a couple years ago, he's putting out this report, and we're all supposed to trust it. And the guy who hated Trump, and then the Durham report comes out, and it's laying out all of this testimony from FBI agents saying we didn't have probable cause, and it was we couldn't understand this. And now everything that DNI Gabbard has declassified and has, you know, put out there in the public sphere lines up with all of the things that were said in the Durham report that didn't make sense, illuminating it with Obama's involvement and, you know, changing the intelligence assessment because he didn't like it, to basically divert attention from Hillary Clinton's email scandal over to this idea that somehow Trump was working with the Russians. So all of it matches up. And you talk about John Bolton, you talk about classified documents. President Trump had the right to take classified documents. Biden, when he was a senator and VP, did not have the right, yet he did. And he wasn't prosecuted because, well, you know, Robert Hur said he was a well-meaning elderly man that, you know, it just didn't think he was fit to stand trial. So under no circumstances in any universe does John Bolton, the Mark Twain lookalike wannabe, have any right to steal classified documents. Michael Schellenberger from public.substack.com says after raiding John Bolton's house, the FBI could be headed for Brennan, Clapper, and Comey next. This is what he told Jesse Waters on Fox.
Do you think this is a prelude to Brennan, Clapper, Comey, a lot of the other rapscallions who conspired to sabotage the presidency?
I mean, look, I've been told, and I'm sure you've heard this too, is that the Trump administration is serious. The Department of Justice is serious. The FBI is serious about prosecuting the Russia collusion hoax. That is what it looks like. And when you kind of look at the whole thing, I mean, to some extent, they're making it up as they go along. But I mean, we had emails, we had intelligence released a couple of weeks ago that suggested that Adam Schiff, that a conversation with Adam Schiff where he said that they were looking for, you know, maybe not criminal prosecution, but possibly impeachment. That was way back in 2017. Get to 2019, they get that first impeachment. And you see Bolton again saying, you know, he's being very creative in his book, describing all the ways in which he thought that Trump should have been charged with impeachment, or the impeachment process should have gone, and criticizing the Democrats for making their scope too narrow. He wanted it to just be around a whole set of decisions that John Bolton happened to disagree with and make that the basis of impeaching the president.
Yeah, so Bolton's just an arrogant Trump hater. And as Schellenberger says, this prosecuting this Russia collusion hoax very well could extend to all those names. And from what we've heard, it should. John Solomon from Just the News said that while investigating Hillary's private email server, Comey's chief of staff, James Rybicki, was using his own private email server. Yet again, another one of these private email server situations. Why do that if you are not hiding something?
Chief of Just the News, John Solomon. John, great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. What can you tell us about this breaking news?
Well, this is a familiar story, a protection racket, right? Anytime a Democrat or a friend of a Democrat in government has wrongdoing lodged against them, there is a protection racket. I want to remind people that around the time that the Justice Department, the Trump Justice Department, discovered this evidence, James Comey had testified that he and his top lieutenants weren't leaking. The Justice Department knew that to be false. They had evidence that Comey authorized his chief of staff, James Rybicki, to allow his chief counsel, James Baker, to leak a classified piece of information, actually two pieces of information, to the New York Times back in 2016. Baker acknowledged it, admitted it. So you had an inner circle player inside James Comey inner circle that could say there was a leak of classified information. It was authorized by James Comey, and it did contradict James Comey's testimony to Congress, and they took no action. It's a familiar vein. It doesn't matter whether it's the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton emails, the Hunter Biden tax problems. Every time agents tried to bring legitimate cases against people, they got shut down. It was like the steel curtain of politics.
Is there criminality here, John?
Certainly, leaking of information, unless the person's authorized to do so, is criminal. And by the way, this may not be a historical exercise, the release of these documents. Under some statutes, including the Internal Security Act of 1950, there's a 10-year statute of limitations for willing and knowing leaks of classified information that harm the national interest. We'll have to see if the Pam Bondi Justice Department goes in that direction. The other thing that is pretty interesting, and we know this for sure, Kash Patel opened up a predicated criminal case that looks at the last 10 years of weaponization as one ongoing conspiracy, sort of like the mob skimming profits off of casinos across multiple casinos over decades. You can go back and charge things outside of the statute of limitations when you look at this as one ongoing conspiracy to protect Democrats and to violate the civil liberties of Republicans and conservatives who were targeted. So that's two options that Pam Bondi's Justice Department has. The question is, will they go that route? There is some sign of activity before multiple grand juries around the country. So things are starting to ramp up. We'll see if that leads to charges.
Yeah, because the 5-year statute of limitations does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. I want to talk about that and the big story that you're working on right now for next week. John Solomon, stay right there. We'll be right back. We're back with Just the News editor-in-chief, John Solomon, and you're working on a big story for next week. What is it?
It's a really unbelievable story. So we know that James Comey was investigating Hillary Clinton for the misuse of private email to do government business. In the documents that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel have made public to Congress, you see a similar thing going on inside the FBI. The documents refer to the use of private email by James Comey's chief of staff to try to facilitate an unauthorized leak to media. When the FBI went to try to go get those emails, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington said, nah, don't bother. Another example of just turning a blind eye to remarkable things. But the FBI knew that using emails for private business or government business was wrong. And here they knew the FBI was doing the same thing. They gave them a pass.
Wow. Well, I'll end the show the way I began it. The chickens are coming home to roost.
Okay. So you see there that, again, when an investigation started to happen into Democrats, they were told, hey, don't do that. Oh, this private email. No. Excuse me. Don't worry about that. We don't need to look into that. Just forget about that. So again and again and again, I mean, this is crazy. Now, the downside of all of this is it's so complicated that the average American is just like, it's so tangled up that they tend to just go, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. Sounds crazy. I really don't know. Well, let me tell you, it's becoming more and more clear just how it all worked. But my gosh, what a lot of people on the inside of that have been investigating this, like John Solomon have said, is it's so tangled that it was blowing people's minds who were looking into this, that for it all to be true based on what the evidence was revealing, there had to be a lot of people involved in order for this to have happened. And so it's almost like this daunting conspiracy that the more they uncovered, the more it made them think, oh my gosh, am I on the right track? Because this would mean this and this and this, and like Obama's involved. What the heck? I mean, it is very far reaching. And of course, obviously, CNN's saying, oh, well, President Trump ran on retribution. I am your retribution. Look, this is retribution, not for Donald Trump personally, although they went after the guy. People are like, you're using lawfare. You never said a word when they were literally raiding Mar-a-Lago with lethal force authorization, a former president, for documents, and raiding his son's room and his wife's panty drawer. No lie. Oh, no, no one's above the law. They had no reason to do that. But, the left didn't have any problem with that. But this isn't, although they stepped in it, I mean, they abused and used the law to try to ruin this guy. President Trump isn't going after them for nothing. Oh, we're going to prosecute you to the full extent of the law because of these parking tickets. No, that's not what we're talking about here. This whole thing was a conspiracy, and they used and abused and weaponized our justice system and cost the taxpayer millions of dollars. I am your retribution is fully appropriate. I am your Huckleberry. It's about to get real. General Flynn with Laura Logan discussing this and talking about some of these grand juries that he's aware of that are already in place in some of these places. Solomon there indicating something similar. Take a look.
I didn't see the episode, but let me just tell you, Laura, that there has to be indictments. There have to be people that are held accountable for what they did to this country. Never mind to each of us, right? People like me, my family, Trump, his family, and many, many others who were families that were destroyed. So I do think that there's going to be some discussion about whether or not to go after Barack Obama as a president. I'm not going to get into that constitutional debate, but people like John Brennan, Jim Comey, Jim Clapper, Susan Rice, and many others, I do think that they're also going to, we're also going to see with what Ed Martin is doing, people like Fannie Willis, who is the district attorney in Georgia, the attorney general in New York. I think that people like Jack Smith, who did the Mar-a-Lago raid and was the quote unquote special counsel against President Trump, I think we're going to see indictments of those individuals. There are grand juries already in place that I'm aware of, and one is in Florida, one is in, I believe, is in Washington, D.C., another is in New York, and there's a potential one in Pennsylvania. And I think the one in Pennsylvania may be for what I believe is going to be an even bigger bomb that's going to come out here, and that has to do with the 2020 election. So if people look at Russiagate as the attempted coup, the actual coup was 2020 election. And that, I mean, they did it. They effected a coup against the country. And they put a person in place who we now know was essentially brain dead. And I'm being a little bit facetious, but he clearly had mental health problems.
Yes.
So there is going to be accountability for sure on some of those names that I mentioned. And I think that if there isn't accountability, which I seriously doubt, but if there isn't, for some reason, these people are able to walk away from all this, then our country is gone. No matter what President Trump does, he must hold these people accountable. And in some cases, Lara, it can be, or they can be held accountable for national security reasons, not just reasons that are conspiracy or fraud or racketeering or things like that we typically hear about, but for purposes of national security and undermining a duly elected president, which is very clear.
All right. So you see what he said there? Not, going after them just from the sense of national security is going to be enough and much more broad as far as being able to get accountability. And I agree with him that if there's not accountability here, who else would ever bring it at this point? Who has the will? Who's fearless? The big reason the left hates Donald Trump so much is because he is so sure of himself. He's a successful, masculine male who makes no apologies, and the left can't deal with that. I think that's a lot of the hate for Trump is, how dare he be so sure of himself? How dare he talk like he knows what he's talking about? How dare he be so confident? It drives him nuts. And of course, he knows that. He trolls them in a specific way to try to push on those buttons, and it drives them mad. Speaking of trolling, by the way, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, if you've seen his tweets and his press office's tweets, he's literally trying to be in the same style as Donald Trump with his tweets, with all caps and other things. And thank you for your attention to this matter. It's absurd what they're doing on this Twitter feed. Like, there's no originality, no authenticity, and it's literally like, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? That's basically what it is. I mean, it's Pee Wee Herman. And I'm just going, really? You're to the point where you can't think of anything original to do, that you're just going to act like Donald Trump? Well, it works for Donald Trump. It doesn't work for someone pretending. I mean, it's crazy. But you go back to what Flynn was talking about, what John Solomon's talking about. You talk about these people and accountability. You got Adam Schiff out there who allegedly committed mortgage fraud. I mean, it's funny. All these people that were accusing Trump of these things, and they were actually doing it. I mean, Tish James was one we told you about last week, where, she's being investigated for mortgage fraud. She put on an application that she was married to her father. Yeah. Somebody tweeted this out. Apparently, the way to getting fair mortgages is incest. They've resorted to incest. And that's how you're going to get there. So you got Tish James being investigated for that. Adam Schiff, who claimed, he lived most of the time, primary residence issues with his Maryland home versus California home for favorable rates. And now you have a person on the, Federal Reserve Board who's being investigated as well for mortgage fraud. So you have all these people that are, lying on these mortgage applications for more favorable treatment, gaming the system. And so you have other people in the mix here where accountability may be happening. And then you have Ghislaine Maxwell giving testimony last week to Todd Blanche, assistant AG, where she said, according to her, she doesn't think Epstein killed himself. She never observed President Trump do anything inappropriate anytime he was around. But she also said the same thing about Bill Clinton as well. But I mean, we have Kevin Spacey, who spotted, he went on with Piers Morgan. We played you that clip a couple weeks ago where he said that Bill Clinton was with Epstein in Africa with a bunch of young girls. And he was trying to figure out what the heck was going on there. So anyway, take it for what you will. But it is moving forward. People wonder about these Epstein files. I get it. The Trump administration is trying to do what they can to get to the bottom of it, I do believe. But I think what happened is there was a whole lot of assumptions and promises made prior to getting in office by people like Kash Patel and others regarding what was in these files. And either A, they were just flat out wrong, or B, these files were manipulated. And what's in there is either of a little substance, or they know it to be factually incorrect. And so Maxwell herself said there was never any list. Is she lying? I don't know. But she said there was never any list. So it makes me start to wonder, where did this Epstein list idea come from? We've been talking about it for years. We assumed there was a list, right? We saw the manifest from his plane, the Lolita Express. I'm talking about Epstein's plane. And so, is that where we evolved into this? There's a list. Who's on the list? Maybe it's possible there never was a list. I think we have to at least be open to that being a possibility at this point. I don't know. I want the people held accountable no matter what, whoever it is. But this may be something that was created largely by the media or social media or whatever. I think we have to at least be open to that being a possibility. Okay, so when we talk about the purge, some people are calling it a purge. You have the Supreme Court. They have granted President Trump full authority to fire the heads of independent federal agencies, which it's ridiculous that we're even having to have this conversations. It's ridiculous that the Supreme Court even had to hear this case, but no more red tape, no more delays. As Paul Gold Eagle points out on X, no more protection for unelected traitors. All of these organizations fall under the executive branch, by the way. There's no, I mean, I don't know why this is even debated, but this is what Democrats do. They want to gum up the system and bog down our courts, and in hopes to getting, a favorable judge that hates Trump like they do, but no more when it comes to actually being able to fire these people. And Trump is no longer fighting with one hand tied behind his back and can terminate these unelected bureaucrats that are wasting our taxpayer money and potentially even committing some level of fraud. Another win at the Supreme Court for President Trump regarding DEI and gender ideology. President Trump is, of course, has signed executive orders to end DEI and gender ideology grants at the National Institute of Health. And in a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court has upheld his ability to stop those things from continuing. So it's taken a while, but finally, President Trump is getting some more of those victories to be able to just do the job he was elected to do. Now, how does this fare for Democrats looking in the future? By the way, we say hello to David Sling, who says it's a giant stinking castle of corruption. Then we have Priscilla, who's on X, saying, finally, law and order is back. Tracy on X says that it's corruption at its finest. And thank you to someone named Just Call Me Spicy for reposting this feed on X. Please heart the post and repost on X. Heart or thumbs up the post and repost on Rumble, and then give us a thumbs up and share on the other platforms as well. Make sure you follow me on X at Ike Wingate. Ike Wingate. The name is in the bottom corner of the screen. That's my X handle as well, at Ike Wingate. Follow me on X if you're not following me. Now, we move forward looking at how this fares for Democrats going into the midterms. Usually the party in power loses the midterms. Will that happen? We look to CNN's analysis of the numbers in new Republican registered voters versus a decline in Democrat registered voters.
In all 30 states that track party registration, we're putting on the screen the data. It shows altogether Democrats have lost 2.1 million voters. Republicans have gained 2.4 million. That's a deficit that you have of 4.5 million voters.
4.5 million voter deficit now for Democrats, a big swing. And Hakeem Jeffries does not look happy. If you saw any of the interviews he did yesterday, this was with Dana Bash on State of the Union on CNN. But if you saw any of the other interviews with him, I mean, the guy is trying to explain things away, but never, ever says anything. Democrats are flailing right now. And a lot of people have said, because of the Epstein files not being released and some of these other things, President Trump's doing so terribly, he's going to get smoked in the midterms. Well, now from the Cook Political Report, among safe, likely, or leaning GOP seats, they believe heading into the 2026 midterms that Republicans are positioned 20 seats better now than before the midterms during President Trump's first term in 2018, 195 seats in 2018, and then heading into 2026, he could retain 215 seats. And this is a big deal for being able to enact his agenda. The midterms are huge because if Democrats take over, it is going to, it's going to be obstruction every which way. Let's see here. right. All right. So I am just hearing now that there is breaking news. There is news of an active shooter right now at the library at the University of Arkansas. They, I believe, just started. I don't know if they started classes today or if they started last week. I think maybe it was last week, but seeing video now on your screen being shot from one of the upper levels of one of the buildings.
So this is a view of the library right now. And as you can see, there's police cars. I didn't get this on video, but there's police that just entered the building. And the camera is currently pointed at the front of the library.
Okay, so you get the, I'm guessing the library building over here. It's been...
And it looks like they're just securing a perimeter, if I had to guess.
Okay, we're just taking a...
Right now, I'm just a student here, though, so I'm just filming from one of the tallest buildings here.
Okay.
So everybody can get a view.
So we're not seeing a whole lot due to the trees, but this is just happening in the last few minutes. You see a lot of activity there on the ground.
As you can see, there's police at the front of the building here.
Again, we're just getting this, watching it with you for the very first
Looks like
time.
they're walking out.
Again, an active shooter reported at the
And as you can see
library.
down there, we got some more police officers. That looks like some people are suiting up.
At the University of Arkansas. That is where I'm located.
Crazy.
Not at the university, but in Arkansas. And obviously early days of classes. You know, when I went to the U of A in 2000, the first day of class, there was a shooting. There was a murder-suicide between a student and a professor. I remember I actually reported on it while I was there for a radio station I'd previously worked for. Obviously, at that point in my life, I didn't even know what murder-suicide meant. I'm just remembering
Everybody
all
looks
this.
pretty scattered. This happened probably 10 minutes ago. So 10 minutes ago, I wasn't recording it, but you could see a bunch of people running away, obviously. Yeah, obviously all classes are pretty much insta-canceled. So.
All right, so we're still getting news. This was just posted 3 minutes ago. Let's see, we've got some closer video here.
God damn! That's slow as hell, dog. You gotta run faster than that. God.
Okay, so obviously just some guy posting it here. Let's see. We have obviously we have a text message sent out to students. Raise alert. Avoid the area of Mullins Library due to an active shooter reported. Avoid, deny, defend. Obviously, this is something they have been made aware of. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get anything else from the scene. Now, there have been multiple hoax, active shooter reports on campuses across the country. There have been multiple reports of these things, and they have turned out to be hoaxes. Now, according to some people there on the ground, this is not a hoax. I have a friend there, and they hear the gunshots. That's according to someone named Christine Smith. Other people reporting when hearing from their children that are going to school at the University of Arkansas that this is not a hoax. And this is the problem with some of this stuff is you have these hoaxes going on, and then people tend to not take it seriously. Now we have, from about 18 minutes ago, police arrival. And we'll bring you that video here. Okay. So police response there on the campus of the University of Arkansas. Multiple people reporting they have been called by their children and sheltering in place. at the moment. Okay, a lot of. I mean, this is when college kids show their age when they're tweeting ridiculous things in the middle of chaos. So we don't have any other active information here. We're just bringing this to you in real time as there's been a report of an active shooter on the campus of the University of Arkansas. We're seeing the university tweeting out 21 minutes ago to avoid the area of Mullins Library due to this active shooter. Go back over here to this. This is 18 minutes ago. Officials respond to Mullins Library. This is the response there heading into the library. Let's see if we can get some more information. Okay. This is not a story that has been picked up. It doesn't look like by the national media yet. We do not know exactly what is going on. Let's see if we can get the okay here. All right, I'm just gonna okay, bear with me here. We're doing this in real time here. Let's see if we can get a feed of this police scanner. We're able to hear anything.
Bite of the deliciously comforting flavor.
Okay. Apparently we have to listen to an ad before we can do that. If you're just joining us, an active shooter being reported on the campus of the University of Arkansas inside the Mullins Library. We don't know anything else except for messages have been sent out by the school telling people to shelter in place and to avoid the area. We have no reports as far as casualties or anything else. Of course, we've been showing you video of the response as well. And we are now joining this feed of the fire and EMS from the Fayetteville Police. And so we will continue to...
Any mileage is 29.1, 29.1.
Okay. We don't know if this is the channel they're on at this event. We don't know.
Destination mileage 29.1.
Okay. And then, you also have the university police that are there as well. And so we don't know what the communication...
Are we switching to my channel? We're patching with that channel.
Q72, the unit's off. Heard any other stimulus since we've been on scene? Only positive responses are needed.
All right. So not quite sure what exactly they're communicating there. And, these are the kind of things that people who are first responders, who are police officers, they're used to listening to radio chatter like this, and they can pick it up a lot easier than...
U.S. Marshal 114, your traffic. Copy.
It sounded like they said U.S. Marshals. So we'll continue to monitor this feed as we're able. And we will bring you what we know. We will be relying also on X and some of these on the ground reports that are coming in here in real time. Again, not something that's being reported on the national feeds yet. Again, just 26 minutes ago, the University of Arkansas sending out this post, an emergency notification to avoid this Mullins library due to this active shooter. We see videos of the response there on the ground as well. So this is not a hoax, at least so far as there is a real police response, although there have been hoaxes around the country on this particular subject at universities. And we continue to get images coming in here as this is a fluid situation. We still do not know anything as far as casualties, the amount of people involved, or anything of the, anything beyond that. Continue to monitor these posts because a lot of times you're getting more up-to-date, accurate information from on the ground. Okay, now World Source News saying no, they're saying five news here locally reporting no injuries.
Sure. Looks like all floors. First level physical. Copy that.
Sounds like they're going through all the floors, potentially. We have the Fayetteville EMS police channel on right now, which is what you're hearing. Okay, they're at the Mullins Library is what we're hearing. We continue to read through some of these there's allegations of who the shooter may be. Again, we don't know. This is just someone tweeting this out, that this is who it could be. I don't know. We try to stay away from stuff like that until we have a really good idea that it is accurate. Speculation is difficult to report on at this point. Again, we have rumors that this is part of the wider hoax that has been happening around the country. People saying it is not real. We know the response is real. We have the video from multiple different sources and angles.
Do y'all have a rifle shield or?
Okay, rifle shield being mentioned.
Stand for.
I would doubt we have an all clear if they're asking for a rifle shield.
Signal 99.
Okay, we're going to take
372 1050.
There's a huge crowd of them. We saw a few people in.
Copy, Arsenal.
We are right next to Mullins Library. I'm going to go ahead and let Will zoom in. But this is what we're seeing right now. As you can tell, a very heavy police presence. We drove down Garland, ASP officers, Fayetteville police officers, every type of law enforcement that you can see here. There's a huge crowd of them. We saw a few people inside Mullins Library, a few officers kind of sweeping through from what we could tell. You have officers grouped over here, kind of in front. Looks like they're stationed out here. We were a little bit closer about a few minutes ago, but they had pushed us backwards, telling us to move back for our safety. This officer right here. So this is kind of what we're seeing right now. Again, heavy police presence. We saw a lot of students standing around earlier, kind of walking away from the
We are
university.
receiving a call that they are in the stadium garage on the 3rd floor, and they're saying that they saw a white male with a firearm, white male who got in a white car next to a fire extinguisher break. The license plate was covered. Also, another subject with him with a gray hoodie. I'm just signing. Mike, I'm clear 1314. 2% copies around.
All right. So I don't know if you made that out there, but it sounds like there's now another report of a white male and another individual getting into a white car, the male seen with a firearm. This is what's being reported. Someone calling in at the football stadium and fleeing the scene. So we could now have a chase underway for this person. Okay, we're not getting a whole lot of information yet. Again, we are monitoring the police scanner here. If you're just joining us, an active shooter situation happening at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville in the northwest corner of Arkansas. Early days of classes. Let's see here. Let me get my facts straight.
He's claiming to be a worker.
Tim Ward is a worker.
Okay, the person reporting having seen someone is a worker, is what it sounded like. Let's see here.
Edwards 272. This caller is going to be on the stadium garage on the 3rd floor in a black Honda Pilot.
Okay, we are hearing this report of a witness on the 3rd floor of the stadium garage reporting that there was a white male subject fleeing the scene with a handgun into a white car with another subject with a gray hoodie fleeing the area.
Testing. Copy.
Okay.
Frank, we're not yet.
All right. So that is what. All right. So, excuse me. Obviously, this is happening in real time. We are trying to parse
475.
information.
475, they're saying that the vehicle is now moving. It's a white Audi occupied ×2 with a covered UA license plate. They're
Which exit in which direction?
We now have a report and obviously
stand by.
a potential chase as the vehicle is in view now. Police are trying to get the information to be able to track them down. We're still not seeing a whole lot of new video coming out of here.
475, second floor now.
Is there anybody?
All right, we're going to listen into the scanner for a moment. I'll be right back.
Reno detective, I do have that Audi going down.
19.
If you can, go ahead and get stopped. Yeah, if I'm in an unmarked
That's 10 for L10 and L6. L10's north of the university, L6 is south of it.
6, they've got a call in a parking lot off the south end. Got a caller phone.
We'll make contact via phone to make sure he copied. Confirm.
If we're occupied 2 times, one male supposed to possibly be armed. The caller saw the male have a firearm.
10 for what's the vehicle description?
White Audi turned on Maple, headed back towards Razorback.
Copy. Black Audi turned on Maple, headed back towards Razorback.
All right, listen to the live feed scanner from the University of Arkansas. We now have a chase, potentially, or at least the attempt to stop a suspect in this shooting.
10-4, we'll confirm with him.
Turning on to Razorback from Maple. So still in the, leaving the stadium, potentially headed headed south potentially right now, if I'm thinking of it. So this would be a way to get away from the university. All right, so if you're just joining us, an active shooter situation happening right now at the University of Arkansas, just a few minutes away from where our studio is here, and we are getting updates here. We don't know for sure what's going on.
Go ahead.
The police.
Are you backing the detectives, the Springdale detectives? The caller is wanting contact.
The police are responding. The police are responding to a report of someone who has a gun, allegedly, that got in a vehicle in the stadium parking garage, who have fled the scene.
10-4, if you get to 19, I'm not sure if L6 is copying all of our.
They are attempting to make a traffic stop on this individual, and that is what we're listening to right now.
14-382 at Maple Stadium.
Yeah, and we have some people that are making allegations of a suspect at this point. It's still too early, I think, to know these things.
10-4, copy L10, L6.
Again, we have people that are reporting a suspect at this point. I just don't think we know that, but we have no injuries reported. But the police are responding now to a report of a potential suspect in a white Audi car that has left the scene. The tip that came in is that there was a white male that entered this vehicle with a handgun. Now, we don't know that this person is related to the shooting.
232, any Fayetteville units inside Mullins? Go ahead, sir. How many Fayetteville units do we have inside?
3 of them inside.
All right, looking at units inside the actual.
19 inside. 359. We have several up on the top floor. It'd be hard to count. There's quite a few, at least 6 to 10 on the top floor alone. Well, fair enough. Thank you.
232. I've got number 7 or 8 on first floor right now.
All right. Bear with me here. We're just
Show
trying
460 out.
trying to make sense of some of this. Here's some more video of the scene from Channel 5 here, local CBS affiliate.
And for a couple more officers, are going to continue clearing for their own.
Okay, now I see. FBI? Okay, we're Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go.
72's moving down.
All right, so
415, 272.
what is this? Okay, so we're gonna go. Okay, so the first week of class was last week. We're now in the second week of classes, and this reported this reported active shooter on the campus of the University of Arkansas.
Washington County, yes, or on the first floor and the second.
It sounds like they're still clearing the building. We've heard nothing about injuries. They're online. It's being reported that the FBI has put out some kind of picture of the suspect. I'm not going to report that until we have that confirmed. But we've got multiple feeds up in the studio here trying to, and if anybody has those tips, you can send them.
It's not that.
But we
They had Nerf guns.
Careful.
We're listening to this live feed of the Fayetteville police scanner where there is someone with a gun
Requesting
was
search and rescue operation.
someone with a gun was reported fleeing the scene and leaving in a white Audi. Police, last we heard, were making an attempt to pull that vehicle over
Hey, what's a good point of contact number for you?
in the area of the stadium.
Area code 479-78051. Repeat. 79-783-1051.
Okay, and so we're seeing not live.
Madison County, I have Mac. And is this in regards to the
Tim?
Yeah, the feed's breaking up.
Madison County, Mac 13?
Okay. All right. So we weren't intending to cover a live shooter today. So FBI's on the scene. Fayetteville Police.
Transporting to Mercy Rogers on emergency party mileage.
And I just reset it. I apologize. I'm 1050 as an update. I'm out here. So far, everything's code force. They've got a few other calls about shots. We're trying to confirm all that. Once we yeah, of course, sir. True Bell channel. Yeah, for you, sir. Nation. Final mileage 6.2. 6.2.
Copy 366 at destination, mileage 6 point.
At U of A.
Super.
Okay. So I know this is probably a little bit hard to keep up with here as we're trying to take in multiple sources of information here regarding this active shooter that is happening right now at the University of Arkansas in the Mullins Library. We have not received any confirmation of casualties, injuries, apprehensions, nothing. We've got the live
Northwest Greenville, Central Medic 9.
police feed going right now.
Male. Chief complaint for bradycardia, hypotension. Over.
No, I have not received your Pulsera.
Chief complaint today.
All right, so we've obviously got a channel that a lot of things are happening on, not just associated with this this active shooter situation at the University of Arkansas. So we're trying to keep this audio feed up so we can get an update on that report.
Yeah, several Sprinter units on the east side.
The report of someone with a gun that was fleeing the scene.
10-4. I got 361 with me. I'll let him know.
All right. So we're going to continue to try to
The
see.
west entrance of the Mullins Library.
Nothing, so we'll give you room on arrival.
Units that are inside the lab for deputies in, and they're going to link up with systematically, and everybody's communicating.
All right. There's plenty of misinformation being intentional, incorrect information being posted online right now. So we're just trying to weed through what we can confirm.
Careful.
Obviously, is this
Washington County 136 to dispatch.
136.
see if we're getting anything else from the University of Arkansas. Nothing since their tweet 50 minutes ago announcing to avoid the area. Again, you have multiple posts of
Thank you.
who the shooter is. It may be accurate. I don't know how it is at this point, considering we haven't seen anything be put out officially. But we still have, we have congressmen, senators from Arkansas saying they are monitoring the situation. There's been no communication as far as anything else beyond that. We're hearing on the scanner that it sounds like they have gone through and are clearing the building or have just cleared the building. Potentially, we have also a report that there was a suspect, a white male that fled in a white Audi vehicle with another person. And last we heard, there was an attempt to pull that vehicle over. We have not heard an update on the police radio feed regarding what happened with that. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. I apologize for the disjointed reporting here, but we're trying to keep this feed up of the police radio so we're able to tell you
433-331.
things that are new.
Go ahead, Corey.
So I appreciate your
Hey,
patience.
down here in this bathroom, we got a ceiling towel that's been removed. Looks like somebody climbed up in the ceiling.
It sounds as if a report of something in a tree line. I don't know if that's what I heard or not. You can imagine there's going to be a lot of people reporting things they think they heard, especially if they heard actual gunshots going off. The way
Sebastian County cop. I have Mac 5. Mac 5 copy. Thank you.
the way that sound carries, it can be confusing as far as where
There's a possible barricaded person in fine arts.
as far as where the shots are coming from. So there could be some confusion, a bit of fog of war. You just heard on the radio there
Copy 259 at destination, mileage 7.6.
of a barricaded person. Now, I don't know if that's at the university here, but you just heard that along with me here live on this police radio. We've got local news feeds up in the studio here, seeing just some live images. I just got to tell you, the local news is not used to reporting on something like this. I just checked in on a channel and I witnessed 4 people talking over each other at once.
Dustin Isaac, I'm at the corner of McElroy and Dixon. Where do you want me?
Okay. This person is going to be in the vicinity of the university.
Fixed mode.
I believe that's the voice of the person behind the suspect vehicle. I recognize.
Just be advised, we have one key and there's several locked doors that they still have yet to clear.
Okay. So they're still clearing the library.
We're working on it.
Several locked doors.
Safely as you can.
And
Several.
one key. Okay, so you heard that with me. So this library has not been cleared. This library has not been cleared. It's the Mullins Library on the campus of the University of Arkansas. Into the second week of classes at the university. And there have been other shootings reported across the country, hoaxes at various universities, leading a lot of people to speculate initially this must have been a hoax, but we have video we've shown you already of people fleeing and with a police presence there. Obviously, it's not a hoax. The police are in the building clearing. Now, whether or not we've not heard they've actually apprehended anyone.
U.S. Marshal 140 of traffic.
The FBI's on hand. A lot of local agencies, the U.S. Marshals there. And we just heard. And we just heard that they are still clearing rooms in the library. Okay. So they're still clearing rooms. And as I said a minute ago, the voice I heard on the radio there was just a distinctive voice who was behind, in pursuit of that white vehicle that was reported leaving the stadium parking garage, third level.
The hallway. Make sure that you're giving loud verbal announcements. The students have been advised from their indicated positions.
A person allegedly seen fleeing with a firearm into a white Audi car with another person, reported as a white male. So we don't even, the voice,
at 331.
the voice we're hearing is the person that was in pursuit of that vehicle that we heard earlier. So we're waiting for an update on that. The Mullins Library in between Old Main and the Arkansas Union on campus. I remember being in that library, if I'm not mistaken, the very few times I studied during college.
272, we're receiving multiple phone calls at B5. There's currently yelling going on from this vet.
Boy, is this frustrating with the feed cutting out. Reports of yelling.
You to just confirm that it's them clearing.
Okay. All right. So people are hearing the police yelling as they're clearing the building, and now you have people reporting that I'm hearing a lot of yelling. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I mean, you
God damn.
Okay. This guy. All right. So this is showing the police going up. That's the Mullins Library building right there that you see at the very end there on this video. If I can get it to stop, I can't for some odd reason. But that is definitely where this shooting was reported, right there at the Mullins Library. You can, I'm sorry, you can't see that on the screen. You can see the library, the police going into it. This is the Mullins Library there on the campus. And right now, Fayetteville police have given to the local NBC affiliate the statement that no evidence of a shooting has occurred. No evidence of a shooting has occurred, although we do know they are still clearing the building. So this could be yet another hoax, which would be, I believe, the third one in the last week. Although this is where it gets muddy, okay? Because we were showing you tweets earlier from people that were saying their relatives were there, their children were there, and they heard gunshots. Okay? We've seen those tweets. And so then you ask the question, did they hear gunshots or did they just get the message from the university to avoid the area? And again, you have some people putting out pictures of a potential suspect. And there's just, again, at this point, it seems like that is not true at all. However, we do not know. We do not know, but we certainly are seeing lots of people pushing out messages that people they know are there and have heard gunshots or had heard gunshots earlier. But now you have KNWA, the NBC affiliate here in Fayetteville, reporting that the Fayetteville police are saying there is no active, no evidence of a shooting. And here's the wild thing is, as you're seeing here, people start tweeting out videos that have nothing to do with this situation saying it does. I mean, the great thing about social media is you get this real-time data if it's correct, but then you have to like confirm and make sure that it does have something to do with it. The crazy thing about when this happens is there's a ton of clickbait that's put out, hoping people will latch on. And so the big challenge is what's real, what's not. We're still listening. Oh, no, we're not. To the police scanner. We have for about 38 minutes now been listening to this police scanner in Fayetteville. Again, at one point, this white vehicle that was allegedly in the stadium parking garage was being pulled over. I still haven't heard an update on that. Something may have happened. I don't know.
It's in Mullins Library and Fine Arts Building. We're about to send out a razor alert to notify to come out and announce themselves that we have law enforcement.
Okay.
Secured by law enforcement.
So we're just hearing there's going to be a razor alert sent out. Okay, so to Bree's point, the library and fine arts building, potentially the same thing. Let's see if we can get to where this razor alert's going to come from, so we can see. We could.
Copy 244.
We could not make out exactly what this razor alert. It sounded like. Okay, so we do have an alert right now. So it sounded like on the scanner they were saying they were going to send this alert out telling people to come out if they're barricaded. The latest message from the University of Arkansas 1 minute ago says police are responding to multiple reports around campus. Continue to avoid, deny, defend. Allegedly, they had some kind of active shooter education class last week at the University of Arkansas. So this avoid, deny, defend may be part of that. Okay, and so now I'm getting reports from sources on the ground, and again, you start to hear from one source to another source potentially, but a student reporting witnessing a guy pull out a gun outside of the library as she was walking by. So so again, we don't know if that's where maybe the reports of this originated. I'm getting text messages.
Headquarters 227.
Go ahead, Farm.
Just be advised that we yelling, shots, and stomping in the old main building. UAP is aware.
Okay, that's another building on campus. We're now getting reports on chaos, I would say. Chaos happening right now on the campus of the University of Arkansas with multiple different reports, police responding to multiple reports around campus. Now you have shouting and stomping, and I don't know if that was shooting, but certainly loud things occurring in the old main building on the campus of the U of A. So, just a bit chaotic right now. Again, we have reports of someone fleeing the scene with a gun into a vehicle. Police were in pursuit of that. We also have reports on the ground of a student seeing someone pull a gun outside of the library previously. What we haven't confirmed is that any shots have been fired in the library, outside of the library. We haven't heard anything as far as confirmation there. And again, we have the University of Arkansas just putting out a razor alert. We heard on the scanner there that the police are saying they're going to put out a razor alert telling people to come out of areas if they're barricaded, that the police are ready. The message sent out 4 minutes from the university saying police are responding to multiple reports around campus and continue to avoid, deny, and defend. Okay, and so David Sling also on the ground in the area saying that police are confirming that no shots, no confirmed, rather, a little bit different. No confirmed shots fired.
As of now, we have no.
So it seems you have this effort underway to confuse law enforcement.
We're encouraged.
Whether whether it's intentional or unintentional. Obviously, if this is a hoax and it's happening around the country, you have this effort underway to basically create chaos and use law enforcement to do so while scaring the hell out of everyone. And
Springdale 129, did you have additional traffic?
whether it was coordinated between these hoaxes or not is unknown. Okay, so no evidence of a shooting is what Fayetteville police are saying. Hold on a minute.
Negative. 12 now with one of the university professors. He's away from the building.
10-4.
Stand by. You now have the Fayetteville police giving a statement on TV currently. Okay, so a pretty quick update. See if we can get a recap here from the local guys. Okay. All right, so it looks like they may have detained that person in that Audi vehicle. Someone detained, but maybe not arrested, maybe not charged at this point. So it looks like maybe over near the stadium, that arrest, or at least the detaining of a person, occurred. Okay. Wow. I tell you what, man. I mean, I'm watching these local news people talk about this. And I don't know why the weatherman has to be sitting at the desk while you're talking. It's just so mediocre. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be critical here. This is a serious situation. Okay, so it appears as though it seems the urgency level, the threat level has diminished at this point, to where it's been long enough as they're going through all these rooms, they're not seeing the evidence of a shooting. Okay. Okay. So we're staying in tune to this this Razor report, Raise Alert. We still don't have this message that we heard on the scanner regarding encouraging people to come out if they're hiding.
G2 headquarters. We are going to next the back staff and students. And we barricaded in.
Okay, the person detained has been released. So
go ahead.
I'm being asked, do you know if anyone is in the building?
okay, it seems as though they're going building to building. They're not finding anything. And obviously they don't want
I don't
to
believe we have anyone in the Agri building.
they don't want to give the all clear, right? They want to make sure. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, finding out, this photo of this dude that they're saying is the shooter. They said this guy was the shooter on another thing as well. So this is what happens in real time on these situations. And it's just a matter of just being careful as to when something is starting to line up. And when the police aren't giving any information, and you're hearing it on the scanner, and so it starts to all come together and go, wait a minute, there's no way anyone can know this yet. And there's been no official statement. And so the longer this goes on, the more it looks like a hoax to me.
Parent unification for students is Harmon Deck Parking Garage. Harmon Deck Parking Garage.
Okay, and they're talking about parking garages. So it's
That's the meeting area for them.
it seems as though the police are looking around still. They are still conducting this search to try to find out what exactly happened. So if you're just joining us, active shooter reported on the campus of the University of Arkansas in the second week of classes in the Mullins Library and Fine Arts area. We have sources that say a student reported seeing a gun as she walked by the library. We also have another report via the scanner that there was someone reported with a gun.
We made it down here.
Getting into a vehicle. It is believed that maybe that it wasn't actually a gun. I don't know if these two different sources.
About probably 15 meters into the wood line, work your way back to the wood line down the trails there. Look for.
Yeah, so it's
come back to command post and we're gonna call this off.
It's unclear if these two, the report on these two individuals were the same individual. According to local news, someone was stopped and detained out of that parking garage and released. So that would tell you they didn't have a gun or there was nothing, nefarious going on there. So again, in these situations where people start to get scared or they hear secondhand information from different people, they then adopt those things as facts in the middle of the moment.
Are you still at Gearhart? We have a call saying that there's 7 people in the basement in the.
All right. So what you're hearing is reports of people barricaded in various areas of the university who are scared and not coming out. So in a situation like this, it is possible you could get the alert that there's an active shooter and someone say, oh, I think that guy that just walked by had a gun. Those are possibilities. There's a lot of fog of war, if you will, in a situation like this where that's why these investigations are so important, to try to line up consistencies.
10-4.
Again, the interesting thing here that we come back to is we have people that say they know people that have heard shots happen. But police are saying there is no evidence any shots were ever fired. All right, if you're watching on the Died Suddenly feed, we need you to come over to the Ike Wingate feed. I've got to make way for this other show to come through on the Died Suddenly feed. So if you want to keep watching us on X, it's Ike Wingate. I'm sorry. We did not plan on covering this. Obviously, it's a fluid situation. We'll continue to cover it until we have a better idea of what's going on. So follow me over at Ike Wingate on X, IKEWINGATE. All right, so we have departed from the, I hope I did that right. Yeah.
2, 3,
Let's see. Hold on one second. I want to make sure. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. So hopefully some people from the Died. We had about 3,500 people watching on there. David Sling says, my wife's friend has a daughter. Had a daughter see it. See. I'm getting reports indirectly through someone I know that their daughter saw the gun. Witnessed a guy pull out a gun outside of the library as she was walking by. Now, here's the question. You've got two potential people reporting they saw someone with a gun. My question is it possible this person had some kind of object on them that looked like a gun to someone, but it wasn't actually a gun? That's what I'm wondering now. Did all of this start from someone being concerned after they had an active shooter class last week, and the sensitivity is heightened to this, and you've got multiple people seeing something that they think they saw, and they reported it, and then you have this cascade effect of people reporting things that are sort of hearsay that are there. Like, oh, no, I heard this. Well, did you actually hear it? Well, no, my friend heard it. That's a possibility. Is it also possible that everybody saw everything that they're saying they saw and heard what they saw? Absolutely. It's just right now what the police are reporting is that there's no evidence that any shooting has occurred. And so if there were shots fired, there should be evidence. Now you have reports of things going on all over campus, people barricaded in certain areas trying to be safe, and police are having to run around responding to all of it. So those are all possibilities. But I go back to, did someone see someone with a gun? Maybe so. But anybody who says they heard shots fired, the police are contradicting that at this moment in time. It could change. But at this moment, police are saying there's no evidence that a shooting occurred. So if I'm betting on the information we have right at this exact moment, it looks like it was either a hoax.
6 minutes ago.
Someone saw a gun and then it evolved into an active shooter report, or somebody saw something they think was a gun that was not. In the case of the report that came in that said they saw this guy with a gun get in this Audi, this white vehicle, who was allegedly stopped, detained momentarily, then released, didn't have a gun, clearly, but it was reported that he did. So there's a lot of unconfirmed, random information out there right now.
10-4.
The fourth floor of the library building up here. I'm just.
6, thank you, 10-1404.
I think we're good. By my estimation, they've got well over 100 units out here at this point. I think they're just clearing and securing. Some of the students were still in hiding places, and they're letting them and making sure that everybody's code for. But
Yeah, boy, I was just checking on you. If you need anything, holler at me.
Just holler at me, buddy. 10-4, good buddy. Over and out. You betcha. All right. So I think where we're at, guys, is that here's where I'm going to go with it right now. Okay. Highly speculative. Okay. But this is just Fly-Fi says, did you say this happened multiple times already this year? Yeah. There were two. This is interesting because I just heard this morning, taking in my daily dose of a bazillion news items. And I just saw this morning that there were two shooting hoaxes reported, mass shooting incidences at universities last week. So this seems to be a trend. If I'm going to tell you right now exactly what I think. And I could be completely wrong. I'm just telling you my view as I see it right this moment, 2:05 Central Time, Monday, August 25th, is that the University of Arkansas held a, well, let me confirm that actually, because that was being reported that there was this, what would you call it? Basically, an active shooter class. All right, here's that spokesperson.
Call of an active shooter at David Mullins Library at the University of Arkansas campus. Since then, we've responded to multiple different calls at multiple different locations surrounding the university. There are no confirmed gunshots. There are no confirmed injuries. We have nothing confirmed at this time. Is that good with y'all? Yep. All right, I'm going to look this way.
All right, no gunshots. No gunshots. Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to find this this story. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, active shooter. They went through this active shooter debrief last week, or training. Let's see. Photo from okay. All right, let me just make sure this is actually true, because I don't know if it is. Because you had reports that they went through this training. But again, that could be totally bogus. Stand by with me here, people. Okay. All right, I'm going to check back in with this Razor report from the University of Arkansas. Yeah, we haven't received anything new. Okay. Yeah, so there's been reports that there was some kind of active shooter exercise. But it is so difficult to get through right now it's so difficult to get through on a search engine to figure, after all this news is out here regarding whether or not they had an exercise or not. Okay. All right. Well, I can't find that at this point. So basically, my theory right now is nobody ever heard any shots. Somebody may have seen something they thought was a gun and called in a report, and that's how all this started. That's my best guess right now. Okay. This is all right. Case in point, my friends. I just received back on the source that allegedly saw a gun. The person that this student saw with a gun now knows was a police officer. Okay. She saw a police officer. Apparently, maybe it was unclear that maybe it was a plainclothed officer with a gun. But this student's roommate says she saw a guy with a gun as well. All right. So this is going to sound bad, but we're trusting college students with life and death information, and we're trusting a generation that is not equipped with really the best critical thinking skills. I would argue. I don't know. Some people say that the younger generations are actually coming away with better critical thinking skills, maybe than Gen Z or some of the millennials. I don't know, but basically, I think where we're going to is a bunch of hearsay, and we've got some students who maybe don't even know what a gun looks like properly, reporting they saw a gun. It was a cop they saw with a gun, maybe a plainclothed officer. And so I don't know the sequence in which this happened. If the text went out from the university that says there's an active shooter, and then people are like, oh, I saw a gun. And then it just sort of snowballs. Well, okay, you saw people responding to the shooting maybe that were in plain clothes. That's a possibility. What we don't have, what we don't have is anybody who says, yes, I actually heard shots. And the police are saying we have no evidence of shots being fired. And so that, I think, is where we leave it, my friends. I think we have another hoax here on the University of Arkansas campus. So we had to vet it out. You saw us in real time as we listened to the scanner, as we monitored social media feeds. We tried to weed through what was true, what was not. And we're now getting information that people were mistaken on some of the stuff they saw, or it was after this active shooter report was out, and then they saw things that maybe corroborated that, but actually it did not. And so this is what happens when you get a bunch of people in the situation from different angles that think they saw something or assumed something, or they communicated something they heard or saw from someone else that heard or saw it, but they didn't actually hear or see it. And this is how we play the game of telephone in 2025. That's basically where we're at. All right, so I'll share a couple other things with you before we go. Pete Hegseth has officially fired the Biden head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, Jeffrey Cruz. He was the one who produced the preliminary report on the Iranian strikes that were leaked to the media. Yeah, we couldn't figure out, wait a minute, where did this report come from that said it didn't do very much damage? I mean, there's various different assessments, right? Best case, worst case, best case, worst case scenario on those strikes on the Iranian nuclear facility. And apparently this guy allegedly is the one who leaked that report out of the DOD. And now that person has been fired by SecDef Pete Hegseth. This was kind of a funny thing that was revealed from JD Vance. Trump called Putin at 1 a.m. after the European leader meeting, shocking all the leaders in the room who thought Trump meant that he'd call him next week, not the same night. Here was J.D. Vance talking to Laura Ingraham about it.
No anticipation. So we're actually in the east wing of the White House, and the president says, we've had a pretty good meeting. I'm going to go call Vladimir Putin and see what he says about it. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to call him next week? And he's like, no, what time is it in Moscow? Let's call him right now. And I think one of the things I realized about President Trump's leadership is he cuts through the BS of some of these diplomatic protocols and just says, I'm going to get things done. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody. You had a lot of the Europeans who were saying, no, there needs to be proper, vetting, and the teams have to prepare the phone call and blah, 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 blah. And the president was like, no. I want to talk to the guy. I'm going to talk to the guy. And I think that kind of no holds barred, no BS diplomacy is part of the reason why we've made the progress we have. And we've made a lot of progress, Laura. Look, who knows what's going to happen? The president tells me this all the time. You can never say with certainty what the outcome in this situation is going to be.
All right. So obviously, President Trump doesn't operate by the stupid restrictive norms that that some of these bureaucrats operate. He gets it done. He just gets it done. All right. A couple other quick things. I would have spent more time on these, but I've gone long. I've got places to be, people to see. President Biden just contradicted his own public statements about Biden's mental state. A former aide, rather. This aide contradicted it. This aide, and I'm just going to paraphrase here from James Comer. This aide was questioned about Biden. This aide had said, every time I saw the president, he had all his faculties. He was top shelf. Every time I saw him, okay, he was mentally fit. Guess how many times after he was questioned, this aide was questioned, like, okay, every time you saw him, he looked good. He was mentally fit. How many times did you actually see him? Guess what? The guy saw him 2 times, saw Biden 2 times in the 4 years. And that is how he was able to say, every time I saw him, he was good to go. See, ask more questions. Ask more questions. All right. Big controversy about Cracker Barrel last week. Look, man, I understand if they want to update their stores. Okay. Some people don't like that. Some people love the decor in Cracker Barrel. Some people might want a lighter look. The difference here is Cracker Barrel is saying we're going to be putting the same stuff on the walls that was already on there. Well, people say, well, that's Americana. Those are awesome things. Well, then, the woke crowd would go, oh, you posted, or, you hung this up or hung that up, and that's offensive. Well, Cracker Barrel is out there in the media saying nothing's going to change on the inside. It's just going to be brighter and there's going to be different colors. Well, every rendering I've seen of the updates to Cracker Barrel is a lie. Then, okay, because it's none of the same decor. It's a bunch of stuff that's like agnostic to anything of feeling, just weird designs. And there isn't a bunch of Americana tchotchke flair hanging on the walls. Okay, so they're lying about that. They're trying to erase it. Okay, but if they were hanging the exact same stuff up and just painting it white in there, I'd be like, what's the big deal? That's what they want to do. It's not the same. So some of you might not like it, but, it would be their prerogative, right? Maybe they have market research. Well, apparently what they're saying about it is not true. So they are trying to erase Americana. But then you have the logo where they get rid of the old white dude, and you pair these things together, and it very well seems as though they are trying to get away from, any kind of classic Americana, celebrating anybody that's white, so and then you look at the people that are in power and all the issues that Cracker Barrel has had and the accusations against them dating back 20 years ago that they didn't hire black people and all this stuff. And they've just gone more and more progressively woke over the last 20 years. And now you get to a place where they have a lame logo, like the logo. There's no defending the logo. It is not better in any shape or form. And I come from a marketing and branding background. I can tell you, there's nothing good about this new logo. It literally looks like they're just trying to erase the past. Well, now we have this commercial for Cracker Barrel. Just FYI, it's sarcasm.
Here at Cracker Barrel, we value diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's why we are going one step further to ruin our brand. We are investing millions of dollars into replacing all of brown pegs in the peg game to bright, colorful pegs. Also, we're changing the rules. The white pegs are not allowed to move or jump anymore, leaving the colored pegs to do whatever they want. We call it Down with the Cracker. It's about being fair in an unfair world. Are you down with the cracker?
Down with the cracker. Okay. Are you down with the cracker? The white pegs can't move. The white pegs are at a big disadvantage. All right. So we're going on 2 hours and 25 minutes live. So before the active shooter happened, we covered a lot of stuff. Obviously we had the active shooter we were covering. And I mean, that was like a case study in how misinformation flows through a hysteria situation. Okay. So if you ever, go back and listen to it on the podcast. All right. Scrawny Mamdani was out there at this men's event in New York City over the weekend, trying to bench the bar plus 45s on each end. That's 135 pounds. That's not much to bench. The guy probably doesn't weigh much more than 135. Most people cannot bench their body weight. And so I don't know. It may not be that bad. It just doesn't look good when the guy the spotter is providing all the support for this bench pressing 135, and it looks like he barely does it twice.
This is how you move up in the pole. This is how you move up in the pole. Yeah.
This is how you move up in the polls. All this hype. Let's see how he does.
This is how you move up in the polls. Yeah.
By the way, he's giving himself a slight disadvantage by putting his hands a little too close together, I would argue. Instead of where his arms are bending, his elbows should be like a 90 degree, I would think. I think the guy, he was at a slight disadvantage here, I would say. Okay, now they're straight out, right? But I would still argue, I don't know. His arms could be a little bit wider, which would make it easier. Let's see how he does.
Yeah. Let's go.
Oh, man, he is barely. Oh, he's about to crash out.
Let me get three.
I mean, he almost turned it over there. I mean, that's crazy. It looks like he's never bench pressed anything in his life.
Let me get three.
You can tell he's disappointed. Okay, you got all the cheering and everything. Okay, so Scrawny Mamdani, Scrawny Mamscrawny is kind of his new name. Let's see how he did compared to Eric Adams.
Let's go. Yeah. Let me get one more. Let me get three. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. Let me get one.
All right, Eric Adams is not coming down as far to the chest as he probably should, but he's smoking him. Now, I would say Eric Adams has bench pressed before, so he knows where to put his arms.
Let me get three.
Okay, so there you go. Scrawny Mamdani, a lot of people making fun of him. Again, does this make somebody someone who can govern well or not? No, not really. But, I mean, who wants to follow a weenie man? Who wants to vote for a weenie man? You know what I'm saying? I mean, nobody, right? Nobody wants a weenie man. He should have been able to bench press 135, though. I don't know. All right, let's get today's Triggered Liberal.
It's time for today's Triggered Liberal.
Rosie O'Donnell with Chris Cuomo.
During his first go-round.
Yes, she's talking about Trump, by the way.
It was very difficult, and I got myself into some bad places. I was very, very depressed. I was overeating. I was over-drinking. I was,
Was there ever a time where you weren't overeating or over-drinking, Rosie O'Donnell? I mean, you're blaming it on Trump, but you've you looked like someone who's overeating or over drinking far before Trump ever came along. I mean, we do have like history here. We know the movies you've been in.
I was so depressed, Chris. I can't, it hurt my heart that America believed the lies about him. And then it broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit. It was very heavy, to tell you the truth. That during his
the only thing heavy was you stepping up on the scale, buying the lies. You're the one that's deranged. You look like hell. Who knows what's on your face? You're blaming your overeating and over drinking on a freaking political candidate. I mean, you want to talk about mental illness and instability. I mean, when you blame a politician for leaving the country, overeating, over drinking, and you look worse than ever now, that you think you're on the other side. I mean, that's mental illness. Somebody ought to get her some medication for TDS.
It's time for today's Triggered Liberal.
All right, if you missed the first part of the show, you can always go back and watch it on Rumble. Now, just remember, set your notifications so you know when we're live next. If we go live, it will be at the same time, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We will not be live. Let's see. Probably the next time we're going to be live is going to be Thursday. I know we won't be live. I doubt we're going to be live Wednesday. I doubt we're going to be live tomorrow. There are other things going on that I've got to tend to. But right now, I plan to come to you live on Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Central. And, of course, set your notifications so you know. If you'd like to support the work that we're doing to bring you this information, of course, you can do so via Cash App or Venmo at IkeReport.com, Cash App or Venmo at IkeReport.com, or in the chat on Rumble. I see some late arrivals. Good to see you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Remember, never stop being a free and critical thinker, because the truth is always worth it.
Rate, subscribe, and leave a review. It's how we get the word out amidst the chaos. Thanks for listening to The Ike Wingate Show.